I woke up with red ink on my palm. Not blood. Ink. A thin red line across the base of my thumb. Shaped like a half moon. In my first life. I got that mark gripping a pen so hard during the Lyndhurst National Scholars exam that the plastic cracked and the red answer sheet bled through my skin. I remembered staring at it after the proctor took my paper. I remembered thinking it looked like a warning. By evening, everyone else would call it evidence. By midnight, my name would be on the school website beneath one sentence. Candidate disqualified for possession of unauthorized answer key. By winter, the same sentence would follow every application I sent. By spring, my mother would stop saying my name in front of guests. By the next year, my father would tell a reporter that the Sterling family had done everything possible for a difficult daughter. By the end of my first life, I was 21, working night inventory in a storage warehouse under a name tag that spelled my name wrong, watching a live stream of my fake sister receiving the National Science Medal that had been built from my ruined transcript. Then the shelving unit collapsed. Metal, glass, a chemical smell from the broken cleaning drums, my phone under my cheek. The screen cracked, but still glowing, on it. The medal ceremony camera zoomed in on Tessa Sterling's face as she smiled into applause. My answer key, my scholarship, my future, her speech. The last thing I heard in my first life was Tessa saying, "I dedicate this to my family, who taught me integrity." Then darkness, then morning, then red ink. I opened my eyes in the narrow bedroom at the end of the Sterling East Wing. The curtains were blue. The ceiling fan clicked once every third turn. The white exam blouse my mother had chosen for me hung on the wardrobe door. Pressed so sharply it looked less like clothing than a warning folded into fabric. On the desk, beside my student card, sat the clear plastic exam pouch, 2 black pens, 1 calculator, 1 admission ticket, 1 folded square of paper that should not have been there. I did not touch it at first. I just looked. In my first life. I found that folded square at 6:42 a.m. and panicked. It was tucked under my admission ticket. Blank side up, corner aligned with the plastic edge, as if someone careful had placed it there. I opened it. Printed inside were the first 20 answers for the quantitative reasoning section. I remember the coldness in my stomach. I remember checking my door. I remember thinking someone had made a mistake, a stupid mistake, an impossible mistake. I had not known yet that the mistake was mine, because I still believed innocence mattered without proof. I brought the folded paper downstairs to my mother. She took one look, went pale, and said, "Do not make a sound." Then she called my father. Then my father called the headmaster. Then the headmaster called it a private family matter, until the proctor found a second copy in my blazer pocket during the exam. Tessa cried. My younger brother, Miles, said he had seen me looking nervous near the printer. The math coach said, ambition could twist good students. By the time I learned the truth, no one wanted to hear it. Tessa had stolen the answer key from the headmaster's assistant the night before. She had panicked when the school installed random bag checks, so she placed 1 copy in my pouch and 1 in my blazer. The first copy made me look guilty if I reported it. The second copy made me look guilty if I stayed silent. A perfect trap. Perfect. Because in my first life, I still believed my family would choose the truth over the girl they liked better. This time, I sat up slowly. The calendar on my phone said, October 14th, exam day. 1 day before the public disqualification. 5 hours before Tessa took the stolen key into room 3B. 3 hours before my mother smiled at breakfast and asked whether I had slept well. 2 hours before Miles slipped the second folded paper into my blazer. I picked up the plastic pouch. The folded square waited beneath my admission ticket. Very neat. Very Tessa. I did not open it. Not yet. Instead, I photographed it from 3 angles. Then I turned on video and recorded myself sliding the pouch into a clean evidence sleeve I stole from my father's study 2 months ago in my first life. That was the strange thing about coming back. Memory gave you keys to rooms you had not entered yet. The study door code was still my mother's birthday. The safe still stuck on the second digit. My father's desk still held evidence bags because Sterling Pharmaceuticals like to call compliance a family value. I sealed the pouch. I signed across the tape, Mara Sterling. That was my name, the one on the exam ticket. The one on the disqualification notice, the one my family would try to turn into a cautionary tale. Across the hall, someone laughed softly. Tessa. Her room had the balcony. Her room had the old piano. Her room had the family portraits outside it. She was not adopted. Exactly. That was what my mother always said. We never adopted Tessa, she would correct, as if paperwork made affection less real. She is your cousin. She simply needed us after the accident. Tessa's parents died when she was 8. Mine took her in, by 9. She called my mother Aunt Celia in public, and Mom when she wanted something, by 12. She wore my dresses without asking, by 14. She was introduced as our brilliant girl, while I stood beside her holding the certificate she had forgotten to bring. By 17, she had learned a dangerous thing. My parents preferred the child who performed gratitude over the daughter who expected fairness. A knock came at my door. 3 quick taps. Miles. In my first life. He had leaned inside and said, "Don't mess this up today. Dad invited reporters." This time, I opened the door before he could knock again. He froze with his fist raised. 16. Soft hair. Expensive hoodie. A face still young enough that betrayal looked like mischief, until you saw where it landed. "You're already up," he said. "So are you." His eyes flicked toward my blazer on the chair. There it was, the first tell, in my first life. I noticed nothing. This time, I smiled. "Need something?" Miles looked away first. "Mom says breakfast in 10. Tessa's freaking out about the exam. Be nice." Be nice. That was the Sterling family motto when someone else was holding a knife. "Of course," I said. He blinked again. He had expected irritation, maybe fear, something useful. I gave him nothing. After he left, I crossed to the chair and checked my blazer. The inside pocket was empty. For now. Good. The trap had not finished setting itself. I had time. In my first life. Time had always happened to me. This morning, I decided it would work for me instead. I opened my laptop and typed the first line of a new document. Case file 001. The answer key. Breakfast smelled like toast, coffee, and performance. The Sterling dining room had 12 chairs, though only 5 of us lived there. My father said the empty chairs made the table feel prepared for guests. I used to think he meant hospitality. Now I knew he meant witnesses. Victor Sterling never liked a scene unless he owned the room it happened in. He sat at the head of the table reading the financial page on his tablet. My mother, Celia, arranged berries on a plate no one would eat. Miles scrolled through his phone with one hand and kept the other hand hidden under the table. Tessa sat beside my mother wearing a pale blue ribbon at her wrist. My ribbon. Not literally. The school gave every National Scholars candidate one blue ribbon for the exam ceremony. Mine had a tiny frayed thread near the clasp because I had caught it on my backpack zipper the week before. Tessa's wrist showed that fray. In my first life. I noticed it during breakfast and said nothing because she looked nervous. I thought she needed courage. She needed an accessory. "Mara," my mother said, smiling too brightly, "you look calm." Tessa's spoon paused over her yogurt. She wanted me nervous. A nervous girl makes everyone else feel honest. "I slept well," I said. My mother looked relieved and disappointed at the same time. That was an expression I had learned to read in my first life. Relieved because I would not embarrass the family before breakfast. Disappointed because she had prepared sympathy and now had nowhere to place it. Father lowered his tablet. "Today is important," he said. He did not look at me. He looked at Tessa. "Lyndhurst has agreed to let press observe the award announcement after the exam, if one of you makes finalist. This family needs discipline. No drama. No accusations. No accusations." Interesting thing to say before anything had happened. "Of course," Tessa whispered. Her voice trembled perfectly. My mother reached for her hand. "Sweetheart, no one expects you to carry the whole family's reputation." No one said that to me. They expected me to carry it quietly and apologize when it grew heavy. Miles's hidden hand moved under the table. I heard paper scrape against fabric. There, the second copy. He had folded it small enough to fit between his phone and palm. In my first life. He placed it in my blazer while I helped Tessa fix her ribbon. This time, I did not stand. Tessa looked at my untouched plate. "Mara, aren't you eating?" "Not hungry." "You should eat. The exam is long." "I know." She gave me a tiny smile, the kind people mistake for sweetness when they have never been its target. "I just want today to go well for both of us. For both of us. In my first life." She said that too. Then she cried at the disciplinary hearing and told the board she wished I had trusted her enough to ask for help instead of cheating. I looked at her ribbon. "Did you fix the clasp?" Her hand jerked. "What?" "Your ribbon. The clasp was loose yesterday." My mother frowned. "Mara, why are you watching Tessa's clothing?" "Because evidence often wears jewelry." I only smiled. It looked familiar. Tessa's cheeks flushed. Not guilt. Fear of being noticed. Father tapped his finger on the table. "Enough. The car leaves in 15 minutes. That gave me 12. I stood. Miles straightened. He thought the moment had arrived. Instead of picking up my blazer, I walked to the sideboard and poured myself water. The room shifted subtly. A trap likes routine. When prey changes the path, hunters have to improvise. Miles put his phone down. Tessa looked at my chair. My blazer stayed draped over it. Inside pocket open, waiting. I drank slowly. Then I said, "I forgot my calculator." "You packed it last night." My mother said, "I want to check the battery." Father exhaled. "Mara, it will take 1 minute." I walked out before anyone could volunteer to come with me. At the top of the stairs, I turned left instead of right. Not to my room, to my father's study. The code panel accepted my mother's birthday. The door clicked open. Inside, the air smelled of leather, toner, and legal fear. I crossed to the printer cabinet. Yesterday, in my first life, the headmaster's assistant had printed 6 sealed answer keys for the internal audit team. Tessa stole one from the school office at 8:10 p.m. But she had not known that Lyndhurst printed audit copies on microtagged paper. I learned that 2 months after the scandal. When I broke into the school storage room looking for anything to clear my name and found a procurement invoice for red thread security paper. The fibers were invisible unless you held them under ultraviolet light. In my first life, the paper in my pouch had fibers. The paper in my blazer did not. That difference would matter. If anyone had cared to check, this time, I would make them care. I took a sheet of ordinary white paper from the cabinet. Then I printed a page with 20 wrong answers. Not random, carefully wrong. The pattern was tempting. A, C, D, B. The kind of pattern a panicked cheater would trust because it looked too specific to be fake. At the bottom, where no one would see unless they held it to light, I placed a tiny row of dots. Mara. Not in letters, in spacing, a pattern of printer marks I could identify later. Then I folded it into the same square, back downstairs. Miles was standing by my chair. My blazer was in his hands. For one beautiful second, everyone froze. He recovered first. "You left this," he said. "Thank you." I took it from him. His face loosened. He had done it, or thought he had. I slipped my hand into the inside pocket. The paper was there, the planted copy. I did not react. I only picked up my exam pouch, which still contained the original folded key sealed inside the evidence sleeve, and walked toward the car. At the door, I paused beside Tessa. Her blue ribbon brushed my sleeve. "Good luck," she said. I leaned close enough that only she could hear. "You too." Her eyes searched my face. For panic, for suspicion, for anything that would tell her the trap had worked. I gave her the expression she had given me for years. Soft, open, harmless. Then I turned and let her walk into the day believing she had already won. That was important. People who think they are winning do not check the ground beneath them. Lyndhurst Academy looked clean from the outside. White stone, blue banners, iron gates polished until the school crest shone like a moral statement. In my first life, I thought buildings could be honest if enough ivy grew on them. Then I learned that dishonesty loved marble because marble made it look official. The exam hall was in the East Academic Building. Room 3B, 30 desks, 2 clocks, 4 security cameras, one proctor at the front with a clipboard, and a voice trained to make teenagers feel criminal for breathing too loudly. In my first life, those cameras saved no one. The school said the angle did not show my desk clearly. The proctor said she remembered me touching my pocket. The headmaster said Lyndhurst would not damage its own reputation by releasing partial footage to the public. Partial footage. That phrase destroyed me. This time, I arrived early. Not too early. Too early looks prepared. Prepared girls scare guilty people. I arrived 6 minutes before check-in, exactly nervous enough to be believable. Tessa stepped from the car after me with my mother holding her elbow. My mother did not hold mine. She did not notice. Or she did. That was worse. Students gathered beneath the blue banners. Some whispered. Some reviewed formulas. Some stared at the Sterling crest on our car and looked away too quickly. Lyndhurst knew our family funded the new science wing. Lyndhurst also knew Tessa was the face they preferred on brochures. I was the other Sterling girl. The difficult one. The one who corrected teachers when grading rubrics did not match the syllabus. The one who won contests but forgot to smile in photographs. Tessa cried prettily when she lost. I asked for the score sheet. Guess which one adults called gracious? At the entrance. A woman from the National Scholars Board checked IDs. Not Lyndhurst staff. That mattered. Her badge read, Elaine Porter. I remembered her from my first life. At the disciplinary hearing. She sat at the end of the table and asked the only question that made the room pause. Why would a student who has never scored below the 99th percentile bring an answer key for the easiest section? The headmaster buried the question under procedure, but I never forgot her face. This time, I stepped forward and handed her my student card. Mara Sterling, she read. Then she looked up. Her eyes were sharp. Good. Sharp people make better witnesses. Candidate pouch, she said. I placed it on the table. Inside was the evidence sleeve containing the folded original, clearly visible. Elaine's hand paused. What is this? My mother inhaled behind me. Tessa went still. I kept my voice low. A sealed item I found in my pouch this morning. I did not open it. I recorded its condition and sealed it before leaving home. I would like it logged before I enter the exam room. The air changed. Not dramatically, just enough. A few students turned. My mother said, Mara, what are you doing? The old me would have looked back. This me did not. Elaine's face gave away nothing. You found an unknown item in your exam pouch and chose to bring it here? Yes, because leaving it at home would break chain of custody. Throwing it away would destroy evidence. Opening it would contaminate it. Tessa made a tiny sound. The kind of sound a person makes when a door she thought was locked opens from the other side. Elaine looked at the sealed pouch again. Who sealed it? I did. My signature is across the tape. The video is time-stamped. My mother whispered my name like a threat. Elaine took a clean evidence envelope from her bag. National Board, not school supplies. She placed my pouch inside without touching the folded paper. I will log this as candidate submitted sealed evidence. You will be searched before entry like every other candidate, if anything else is found. That will also be logged. Understood. There. First witness. First timestamp. First crack in the trap. Tessa stepped forward too quickly. Miss Porter, is Mara in trouble? Sweet voice. Worried eyes. A ribbon stolen from my drawer. Elaine looked at her. And you are? Tessa smiled. Tessa Sterling. Her sister, well, cousin technically, but we grew up together. Technically, she liked that word when it gave her my life without paperwork. Elaine checked her list. Candidate Tessa Sterling. Your pouch. Tessa handed it over. No folded square. Of course not. She had hers hidden elsewhere. In my first life. The stolen key she used during the exam was not in her pouch. It was inside the lining of her calculator cover. I learned that too late from a janitor who found the torn cover in a trash bin after the disciplinary hearing. This time, I watched the calculator cover enter room 3B. Then I watched Elaine mark Tessa's seat. Desk 14. Mine was desk 12. 2 rows apart? Perfect. Inside room 3. B. The proctor read the rules. No phones, no papers, no communication, no leaving during the first hour. The usual temple service of academic fear. I placed my permitted items on the desk. 2 black pens, calculator, student card, no folded paper, no stolen key, no panic. At 9 o'clock, the exam began. Pages turned. Pens moved. The room filled with the soft violence of ambition. At 9:17, Tessa touched her calculator cover. At 9:19, she looked at me. At 9:21, she slid a paper square beneath her answer sheet. I did not stare. Cameras catch staring. I solved question 26, then question 27. Then I shaded the correct answer for question 28 and turned the page. At 9:34, the proctor walked the middle aisle. Tessa's shoulders tightened. The paper disappeared under her left wrist. Very smooth, practiced, in my first life. I had spent that minute trying not to cry because the proctor found the copy Miles planted in my blazer. This time, my blazer hung on the back of my chair. The second folded paper was still inside. I knew because I wanted it there. A trap needs bait. At 10:05, the first section ended. The proctor said, "Pens down." Tessa did not stop immediately. She shaded 3 more bubbles. Elaine Porter, sitting by the side wall as an observer. Noticed? Second witness, at break. Candidates were allowed to stand, but not leave the room. The proctor began random checks. Desk 3, Desk 9, Desk 12. Mine, just like in my first life. She walked toward me with the same clipboard, the same severe mouth, the same confidence of someone who had been told where to look. "Blazer," she said. I handed it over. The room watched. Tessa lowered her eyes. The proctor reached into the inside pocket. Her fingers closed around the folded square. She unfolded it. A small hush moved through the room. She looked at the page, then at me. "Candidate Sterling." She said, "Explain this." "In my first life," I stammered. I said I had never seen it. I said someone planted it. I said, "Please check the cameras." Every word made me sound guiltier. This time. I looked at Elaine Porter. "Please log the time and compare it with the sealed item I submitted before entry." The proctor frowned. "That is not an answer." "No," I said. "It is procedure." Elaine stood, and the room became very quiet. They moved me to the conference room with glass walls. That was Lyndhurst's favorite kind of privacy, visible enough to intimidate, sealed enough to control the sound. In my first life, I sat in the same chair with my hands shaking under the table while my mother cried beside Tessa, and my father told me to stop making it worse. This time, I sat with my hands on the table, still, red ink mark visible. The planted paper lay in a plastic sleeve between the proctor and the headmaster. Headmaster Crow had a face made for donor dinners. Silver hair, soft hands, a voice like polished wood. He looked at the answer key, then at me, and performed disappointment. "Mara," he said, "you understand the seriousness of this?" "Yes." My mother leaned forward. "Then tell them you made a mistake." There it was. Not ask. Tell. She had not asked whether I was innocent. She had already moved to damage control. Tessa sat beside her with a tissue in both hands. Her eyes were red. Fast work. Miles stood near the door, arms crossed, pretending he did not know what his fingers had done before breakfast. My father had not arrived yet. He was speaking to the board chair. In my first life. That frightened me. This time. It comforted me. Power away from the room is power that cannot interrupt evidence entering it. Elaine Porter placed the sealed pouch I had submitted before entry on the table. Candidate Sterling submitted this at check-in before the exam. She said, "It contains an unopened folded paper found in her exam pouch. Chain of custody began at 8:41 Headmaster Crow's expression tightened. "Miss Porter, Lyndhurst appreciates the board's diligence, but this school has handled academic integrity matters for over a century. Then the procedure should be familiar." I almost smiled. Almost. Tessa dabbed her eyes. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why would Mara have 2? A good question if the room was already tilted toward me. A dangerous question if anyone looked at the word 2 and realized someone had been counting copies." Elaine looked at her. How did you know there were 2 answer keys? Tessa froze. My mother answered too quickly. She means because one was found now and one was mentioned at check-in. Anyone can follow that. Maybe. But the room had heard the pause. Little cracks matter. They let air into sealed boxes. The headmaster cleared his throat. The simplest explanation is often the correct one. Mara discovered she had brought an unauthorized page, attempted to create a story by submitting one copy, and failed to account for the second. He said it smoothly, too smoothly, in my first life. I had not known why. Now I did. Crow had known about the stolen answer key before the exam. His assistant reported the missing audit copy at 7:15 a.m. He hid it because a cheating scandal during donor week would threaten the science wing gift. Then my family gave him a better solution. Me. A difficult daughter could absorb a scandal. A beloved scholarship face could not. That explanation has a problem, I said. Everyone looked at me. In my first life. My voice had been small in that room. This time. I let it land. The sealed item was found in my exam pouch before I entered the room. The second item was found in my blazer after Miles Sterling handled it at breakfast. Both can be checked for fingerprints. Both can be checked for paper type. Both can be checked against printer logs. Miles laughed once. Too loud. You're dragging me into this? You brought me my blazer because you forgot it. I did not ask you to touch the inside pocket. His ears went red. My mother turned on me. Mara, your brother was helping you. Then he can say that on record. No one liked the phrase on record. It made lies put on shoes. The headmaster folded his hands. We are not fingerprinting family members over a school exam. The National Scholars Board can request it. The board does not run Lyndhurst. Elaine's pen stopped. No, she said. But the board does run the scholarship attached to this exam. If chain of custody evidence suggests tampering, we have authority to suspend certification. Headmaster Crow looked at her as if she had cursed at dinner. My mother whispered, Mara, stop. I turned to her. Why? She blinked. Because this is humiliating. For whom? She had no answer that did not expose her. Tessa began crying harder. I don't want Mara punished. She said, maybe she was scared. The pressure was awful. She kept saying everyone expected her to be perfect. I watched her carefully. There was the knife, wrapped in mercy. When did I say that? I asked. What? You said I kept saying it. When? Tessa looked at my mother, a child seeking rescue. A performer seeking cue. Yesterday, she said. After dinner. In my room. Your room? Yes. The room with the balcony? Yes. At what time? She swallowed. I don't know. Around 9. Interesting. The headmaster sighed. Mara, this is not a courtroom. It should be. My future is on the table. Elaine looked at me then, not kindly. Seriously, that was better. I took out my phone and placed it face down. I have a video from last night, time-stamped 8:58 p.m. It shows I was in the library tutoring 3 underclassmen until 9:40. The librarian signed our competition forms. I was not in Tessa's room. Tessa stopped crying. Completely. My mother noticed. For the first time that day, I saw doubt cross her face. Not enough to save me, but enough to bruise her certainty. The door opened. My father entered with a man in a gray suit I recognized from the school board. Victor Sterling did not sit. He took in the room in one glance. The evidence sleeves. Elaine Porter. Tessa's tears. My calm. His expression hardened at the last one. "Mara," he said, "you will apologize to Headmaster Crow and withdraw from the exam voluntarily. No greeting, no question, no daughter, just instruction. In my first life." That sentence broke me. Because I believed if my father sounded certain, he must know something I did not. This time, I knew exactly what he knew. He knew I was easier to sacrifice. I looked at him and said, "No." The room went silent. He stared. "Excuse me? No?" A smaller word than evidence? Sharper? "I will not withdraw. I will not confess. I will not protect Tessa, Miles, Lyndhurst, or the Sterling family from a trap they set badly." Tessa made a broken sound. My father stepped closer. "Be careful." I looked at Elaine Porter. "Please add that to the record." My father's face changed. "Private men hate public notes." Elaine wrote. I folded my hands. For the first time in 2 lives, the room had to decide whether it was more afraid of me or the truth. That was when the IT director knocked, and the printer logs arrived. The IT director was a small man with tired eyes and a badge clipped crookedly to his sweater. His name was Mr. Sato. In my first life, I saw him once. He stood outside the disciplinary room holding a folder, while Headmaster Crow told him the matter had been resolved internally. He looked at me through the glass. Not pity, something worse. Recognition. Like he had evidence and lacked permission to become brave. This time, Elaine Porter gave him permission by existing in the room. "You requested printer logs?" he asked. The headmaster's smile went thin. "No one authorized you to interrupt." "Mr." Sato looked at Elaine. "The National Scholars Observer requested all device logs related to audit answer key printing, candidate room access, and printer used between 6 p.m. yesterday and 9 a.m. today." My father said, "This is absurd." "Mr." Sato did not look at him. That was how I knew he had been waiting a long time to be useful. He placed a folder on the table. No readable text faced upward. Good. A person who understands evidence knows when not to perform it for the wrong audience. Elaine opened it. The room breathed around paper. "Mr." Sato said. "The official audit keys were printed at 5:32 p.m. yesterday on the secure office printer. 6 copies, red thread security paper. The assistant logged all 6 into the locked cabinet. At 8:07 p.m., the cabinet sensor opened for 43 seconds. Assistant badge was not used. Headmaster override code was used." Headmaster Crow's face became very still. "That code is used by multiple administrative staff." "Mr." Sato nodded. "Yes, I brought access camera stills." Tessa gripped her tissue. My mother whispered, "Tessa, too early. The camera stills had not been shown. But motherhood, when guilty, often runs ahead of evidence." "Mr." Sato continued. The person at the cabinet wore a Lyndhurst volunteer cardigan and kept her face partially turned from the hallway camera. However, the blue candidate ribbon on her wrist is visible. One frayed clasp thread. Tessa's hand moved to her wrist. Empty now. She had removed the ribbon before entering the conference room. In my first life, that would have helped her. This time, the ribbon had already done its work. Elaine looked up. "Where is the ribbon?" Tessa shook her head. "I don't know. I took it off because I was upset." "When?" "I don't remember." A useful phrase. "Until it repeats." "Mr." Sato placed a clear bag on the table. Inside was the blue ribbon, frayed clasp, folded neatly. "Found in the restroom trash outside room 3B at 10:12, he said. Custodian brought it to the office because candidate ribbons are tracked. My mother closed her eyes. My father did not move. He was calculating. Men like my father do not feel shock immediately. They convert it into cost. Headmaster Crow said, "A ribbon is not proof of theft." "Correct," I said. Everyone looked at me. I reached into my bag and took out a small black flashlight. My father frowned. "What is that?" "UV light." In my first life. I bought one after the scandal because I became the kind of girl who checked paper fibers at midnight instead of sleeping. This time, I ordered it 2 weeks before the exam because my memory knew what my calendar did not. Elaine took it from me without smiling. She liked procedure too much to enjoy drama. That made her trustworthy. She shone the light over the sealed paper I had submitted at check-in. Red fibers glowed faintly through the sleeve. Official audit paper. Then she shone it over the paper found in my blazer. Nothing. Ordinary white. Miles's face drained. He had planted the decoy I printed. He did not know it was fake. He did not know I wanted it found. He only knew the paper he touched was now connected to him and not to the stolen audit cabinet, Elaine said. "The two papers are not the same paper stock," the headmaster said. "Students can print copies." "Yes," I said. "That is why printer logs matter." Mr. Sato turned a page. At 6:58 a.m. today, the Sterling Home Office printer produced one page matching the approximate layout of the planted answer key. User account, guest print relay, device, Mara Sterling's laptop. My mother gasped. The headmaster leaned back, almost relieved. There, I waited. A trap is only satisfying if the guilty step fully into it, Mr. Sato continued. However, the print job was a decoy. The answer pattern differs from the audit key. Also, microspacing at the bottom encodes an identifying mark. It appears intentional. My father turned to me. The first real emotion crossed his face. Not anger, alarm. "Mara," he said quietly. Now he used my name like a locked door he had found open. I looked at Miles. "Did you read the paper before you put it in my blazer?" His mouth opened, closed. Tessa looked at him with naked panic. "Siblings in lies are only loyal while the lie stays invisible," Miles said. "I didn't put anything anywhere." "Then your fingerprints will not be on it." He swallowed. My mother reached for him. I almost felt sorry for her. She had spent years teaching him that consequences were for other people. Now he had no muscles for them. Elaine turned to the proctor. The calculator cover from candidate Tessa Sterling's desk. Was it checked? The proctor stiffened. Not yet. The incident centered on candidate Mara Sterling. Check it now. Tessa stood. No. One word. Too loud. Too fast. Every face turned. She realized it and folded inward. I mean, I feel sick. I need air. Sit down, Elaine said. Not harsh. Worse, official. The proctor left the room and returned with Tessa's calculator cover in a clear bag. Black leather, gold initials, T.S. My mother gave it to her last Christmas and told me not to be jealous because I had always preferred practical gifts. The proctor opened the lining seam. The room watched her fingers slide inside. A folded square came out, red thread paper, official audit paper. Tessa made a sound like the air had been punched from her chest. My mother whispered, "Oh, sweetheart, sweetheart." Even then, even with the answer key in her calculator, I looked away because some truths are so small they become obscene. Elaine shone the UV light. The red fibers glowed. Mr. Sato compared the answer pattern. matches the missing audit key. The headmaster closed his eyes. My father said, "This can be handled privately." There it was. The family prayer. Private. The word that buried my first life. Elaine Porter looked at him. "No, it cannot." For the first time that morning, I felt something move in my chest. Not relief, not victory, recognition. Proof had finally found a room where it did not have to beg. Tessa began crying again. Real tears this time. Ugly ones. She turned to me. "Mara, please." I was scared. You always win. Everyone expects you to win. I just needed one thing. One thing. My transcript, my scholarship, my future, my name, my first life. Just one thing. I looked at her and said, "Then you should have studied." It was not clever. It was not dramatic. It was simply the sentence I wish someone had said in my first life when everyone treated her theft like my failure. The proctor checked the time. The exam had resumed without us. Candidates were still writing in room 3B. The world had not stopped for my vindication. That felt right. Truth should not need the world to stop. It only needs the room to stop lying. Elaine gathered the evidence sleeves. The National Scholars Board is suspending Lyndhurst's certification pending investigation. Candidate Tessa Sterling's exam will be rescheduled under board supervision. Candidate Tessa Sterling is removed from today's exam. Tessa sobbed. Miles sat down hard. My mother covered her mouth. My father stared at the table as if calculating whether money could still buy a smaller truth. Then Headmaster Crow's phone buzzed. Once? Twice? 5 times. He looked at the screen and went pale. "Mister?" Sato's tired eyes sharpened. "The assembly stream." He said. My father looked up. "What assembly stream?" Elaine closed the folder. The finalist announcement begins at noon. I remembered then, in my first life. Noon was when Lyndhurst announced my disqualification and Tessa's provisional advancement before the whole school. A public execution dressed as integrity. This time, the stage was still waiting. Only the script had changed. The Lyndhurst auditorium was already full when Elaine Porter opened the side door. That was the first thing I noticed. Every seat was taken. Parents in expensive coats filled the front rows. Faculty members stood along the side walls with their hands folded in front of them. Students crowded the back, whispering behind their programs. A camera from the Student Media Club blinked red near the center aisle. In my first life. That red light had watched Headmaster Crow turn my full name into a public warning. He had shown no paper, no logs, no security recording. He had shown my face. And that had been enough. Now I stood at the same side door, wearing the same uniform jacket, with my sleeves clean and my hands steady. Elaine did not push me forward. She only said, "You may enter with me, Miss Sterling." Beside her, Dr. Rao from the National Scholars Board adjusted his glasses and looked toward the stage. "This announcement will be brief," he said. I almost smiled. Brief was what powerful people called a blade when they were not the ones bleeding. We stepped into the auditorium together. The room changed before anyone spoke. Whispers rose, broke, and folded back into silence. My mother turned in the third row. My father stood halfway, then sat again when Dr. Rao's gaze passed over him. Miles sat beside him with both hands locked around his phone. Tessa was not in the family row. Her empty chair looked louder than any confession. Headmaster Crow stood at the lectern, gripping both sides of it. His smile was still attached to his face, but badly. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "thank you for your patience. We have had a minor procedural delay." Elaine walked up the steps to the stage. Doctor, Rao followed her. I remained on the floor beside the first row, exactly where everyone could see me and no one could pretend I had been hidden. Headmaster Crow lowered his voice. The microphone caught it anyway. Doctor, Rao, perhaps this could be handled privately. We have donors present. The red camera light blinked. For one beautiful second. Nobody breathed. Then the auditorium became a living thing. Parents shifted. Teachers looked at one another. Students in the back row leaned forward as if the stage had moved closer. Doctor. Rao did not touch the microphone. He did not need to. Headmaster Crow, he said. The National Scholars Board does not handle exam compromise privately because donors are present. Someone gasped. My father closed his eyes. I watched the headmaster swallow. Elaine placed a sealed gray folder on the lectern. Not the envelope from the conference room. A board evidence folder. The kind that did not belong to families, schools, or people who believed a checkbook could launder a lie. At 11:42 this morning, Doctor, Rao said, Lyndhurst Academy requested permission to disqualify candidate Tessa Sterling for possession of unauthorized exam material. There it was. My name. But this time, it came with a timestamp. The request was denied. He continued, pending evidence review. A low murmur passed across the front rows. My mother put one hand over her mouth. My father kept his eyes closed. Miles stared at the stage like the floor had disappeared under him. On the projection screen behind the lectern, Elaine brought up the first slide. No exam questions were visible, no answers, only a chain of custody table with names, times, and redacted file codes. The item removed from Miss Sterling's blazer was logged at 10:21. Elaine said it was ordinary printer paper. The next image appeared, a close shot of the edge of the paper under UV light. Blank white fibers. The sealed item Miss Sterling surrendered before the exam was logged at 8:16. Elaine said, it was board security stock containing red thread fiber visible under ultraviolet inspection. The image changed. Thin red lines glowed through the paper like veins. The auditorium was silent now. Not polite silent, hungry silent. The two items are not the same document. Elaine said, I felt the sentence move through the room. Not dramatic, not emotional, just exact. My mother turned toward me. I did not look away. Let her see what evidence looked like when it was still alive. Doctor. Rao advanced the slide. Printer logs show that Miss Sterling printed a decoy sheet at 7:58 this morning from her home study. The file contained incorrect response patterns. That sheet matches the paper found in her blazer. A few students in the back whispered. Someone said, Decoy? Yes, decoy. Not panic, not guilt. A trap with a receipt. Elaine's voice stayed even. The board's missing audit key was found at 11:28 inside another candidate's calculator cover. The screen changed again. This image was blurred around the candidate's face. But everyone in the school knew the bracelet on the wrist. Small pearls, gold charm, Tessa. The empty chair in my family row became a confession with 4 legs. My father opened his eyes. Miles looked at him once, then looked down. Headmaster Crow made a small movement toward the microphone. Doctor. Rao turned his head. The headmaster stopped. Additionally, Doctor, Rao said, school security logs show that the secured audit cabinet was opened last night at 8:07 using an administrative override. Lyndhurst Academy did not report that breach to the board before today's exam. The faculty along the wall went rigid. Mrs. Ivers, the English teacher who had once sent me a silent apology email after my expulsion, covered her mouth. Mr. Sato stood near the exit with a folder under his arm. He looked exhausted. He also looked relieved. That was the thing about truth. When it finally entered the room, it did not only punish. Sometimes it let the tired people put down what they had been forced to carry. Doctor. Rao faced the audience. Because of these findings, the National Scholars Board is suspending Lyndhurst Academy's finalist certification pending investigation. Candidate Mara Sterling is cleared of misconduct in today's incident. The exam session will be invalidated and rescheduled at an independent site. Sound returned all at once. Parents spoke over one another. Students turned in their seats. One faculty member said, too loudly, "Administrative override? Doctor." Rao looked directly at Headmaster Crow. "Headmaster, you will remain available to board investigators." The headmaster nodded like a man agreeing to a weather report while standing in floodwater. Elaine closed the folder. Then she looked down at me. "Miss Sterling," she said, "please stand." I was already standing, but I understood the request. This was not for me. This was for every person who had seen me walk into the auditorium beside the accusation and had been waiting to decide how guilty I looked. I stepped into the aisle. The red camera light held me in its eye. I did not bow. I did not smile. I did not perform gratitude for being allowed to keep my own name. "Doctor," Rao said, "the board recognizes Miss Sterling's early preservation of evidence and her cooperation with the review." My mother stood. "Mara," she whispered. The microphone did not catch it. I did. I walked past her row without stopping. In my first life, I had stopped for her and lost the last trust I owned. This time, I had other appointments. At the side door, Miles stood so fast his phone fell from his lap. "Mara!" His voice cracked. The aisle around us emptied in that strange way crowds empty when they want to listen while pretending not to. My father rose behind him. "Miles, sit down." Miles did not sit. He looked at me, then at Elaine, then at the red light still blinking from the camera. I put the paper in her blazer. He said, "My mother made a sound like something breaking." My father's face went dark. "Miles." "No." Miles shook his head. "No, I did. Tessa told me it was a prank. She said Mara was trying to make her nervous. She said if the paper was found, Mara would just get scolded and admit she made it." Elaine had already taken out her recorder. Of course she had. Good witnesses did not wait for a clean confession to repeat itself. Miles looked smaller with every word. "I didn't know it was the board key. I didn't know about the calculator. I didn't know she had the real one. You knew enough to open my blazer." I said. He flinched. "Good. You knew enough to do it when I was out of the room." His eyes filled. "I'm sorry. In another life, I would have mistaken sorry for repair. This life had taught me the price of bad accounting." "Then tell the truth in writing," I said. With counsel present. Every name, every text, every instruction. My father stepped into the aisle. "Mara, we can discuss family matters at home." I turned to him. The father I remembered from my first life had said nothing while they dragged me out of Lyndhurst. The father in front of me wanted privacy because public truth had finally learned his address. This stopped being a family matter when you asked me to confess before lunch. I said. His jaw tightened. My mother whispered, "Victor." I kept going. "I want the house security footage from this morning preserved. I want the Sterling Foundation recused from any scholarship-related statement. I want Miles's confession submitted through an attorney, not rewritten at your desk. I want Tessa removed from my room, my academic files, and every conversation about my future." My father looked around the auditorium. The audience looked back. Power hated witnesses. That was why I had collected so many. And one more thing, I said. My voice did not rise. It did not need to. Stop calling consequences bitterness. My mother's eyes closed. My father's mouth opened. But no sound came. Miles wiped his face with his sleeve. Behind me. Doctor, Rao said. Miss Sterling, the board will contact you directly regarding the independent retest. Thank you, I said. Then I walked out of the auditorium before anyone could decide what my exit meant. Outside, the courtyard banners snapped in the wind, blue fabric, gold letters, National Scholars, Finalist Day, in my first life. I had run through this courtyard with my blazer over my arm and a crowd behind me wearing judgment like perfume. This time, nobody chased me. This time. The doors opened behind me and other people came out carrying questions. Questions for the headmaster. Questions for my father. Questions for the girl who had vanished from the family row before the board said her name. Elaine stepped beside me a minute later and handed me a card. Independent retest. 3 days. Municipal Conference Center. You will receive formal notice tonight. Miss Porter, I said. She paused. In the report, please write that I surrendered the sealed document before anyone accused me. Her eyes sharpened. That is already in the record. I nodded. The record, not memory, not rumor, not a mother's hesitation or a father's reputation or a brother's excuse. A record. I walked to the edge of the courtyard and looked back at Lyndhurst Academy. The school still looked beautiful. That had been the cruelest part in my first life. How clean everything had looked while it swallowed me. Now the same building stood under the same noon light. Only this time. The stain was visible. Only this time. It was not on me. The independent retest was held 3 days later in a municipal conference center that smelled like floor polish and black coffee. No donor plaques, no portraits, just folding tables, numbered seats, security cameras, and board officers who had no interest in anyone's last name. I liked it immediately. My assigned desk was 18. There was a pencil, an answer booklet, a clear plastic calculator approved by the board, and a blank white envelope for scratch paper. Elaine Porter stood near the front with a clipboard. Doctor, Rao spoke to the room before the exam began. All candidates were affected by the compromised Lyndhurst session. He said, today's retest will be scored independently. Any communication regarding the prior incident should be directed to the board, not to other candidates. Several students glanced at me anyway. I let them. Looking was not the same as touching. Whispering was not the same as proof. And I had learned to survive worse things than curiosity. That morning, my mother had waited outside my bedroom with toast and tea until I opened the door. Mara, I should have asked you before I believed anyone else. She said, it was not enough. It was also more than she had ever said in my first life. I took the tray. You should have, I said. Then I logged the apology in my mind the way I logged everything now. Received, unverified. Pending future behavior. I ate, put on my uniform, and left for the retest without letting anyone in the house wish me luck. I did not need luck. I needed clean procedures. At desk 18, I wrote my candidate number exactly as instructed. The first page of the exam asked about comparative governance. The second asked about statistics. The third asked me to analyze a policy failure and propose safeguards that would survive pressure from interested parties. I almost laughed. Interested parties. Such a tidy phrase for people who would ruin a life to protect a chair. A scholarship, a favorite, or a family portrait. I wrote for 90 minutes without lifting my head except to check the clock. No memories of fire. No Tessa in the corner of my eye. No Miles with his hand in my blazer. No headmaster saying my name like a verdict. Just ink. Question. Answer. Breath. When time was called, I put my pencil down before the proctor reached my row. Elaine collected my booklet herself. She did not smile. Neither did I. But when she checked my candidate number against her sheet, she gave one small nod. That was enough. The scores were released 48 hours later. Not at Lyndhurst, not in the Sterling dining room, not through my father's assistant. The board posted them on a secure candidate portal at 9 in the morning. I opened the page alone in my room. My hands were not steady this time. I will not pretend they were. Rebirth had given me knowledge. It had not made me less human. The portal loaded slowly, for 1 second. The screen stayed blank, and I was back in the warehouse, watching Tessa accept a medal under hot lights while smoke crawled under a door. Then the page appeared. Candidate 18, Mara Sterling, rank 1, status, cleared, National Scholars, finalist. I read it once, then again, then a third time, because some words deserved witnesses even when the witness was only me. My phone vibrated on the desk. Miles. I did not answer. Then my mother. I did not answer that either. Then an unknown number. I let it ring until it stopped. The first message I opened was from Elaine. Formal notice followed by a brief line at the bottom. Congratulations. Miss Sterling, the record is clear. I sat down on the edge of the bed. In my first life. The record had been whatever the loudest people said before dinner. This time, it had citations. By noon, the board released its preliminary summary. Tessa Sterling was removed from the finalist pool and referred for academic misconduct review. Miles Sterling was referred to Lyndhurst's conduct board and listed as a cooperating witness in the board investigation. Headmaster Crow was placed on administrative leave pending inquiry into the unreported cabinet breach. Lyndhurst Academy's certification privileges were suspended until the board completed a full audit. The Sterling Foundation voluntarily recused itself from all National Scholars communications after receiving formal conflict notice. At 1 o'clock, he asked me to join a family meeting in the library. I went because avoiding a room gives it too much power. My father stood by the fireplace in a charcoal suit. My mother sat on the sofa with a notebook in her lap. Miles stood near the window, hands behind his back, eyes red. The library still smelled like leather and cedar polish. The same room where my father had once told me not to drag the family into ugliness after they had already pushed me into it. He cleared his throat. Mara, first, congratulations. Thank you. The family will release a statement this afternoon. There it was. Not how are you? Not what do you need? A statement? No. I said. My father blinked. Excuse me? The family will not release a statement about me. His expression tightened. This is a public matter now. Silence can be interpreted as instability. Then let it interpret you quietly. Miles looked down. My mother's pen stopped moving. My father drew a slow breath. Mara, I am trying to protect your reputation. My reputation survived because the board protected the evidence. I said, not because you protected me. He had no answer for that. So he reached for the next tool. Tessa's situation is complicated. Tessa stole an audit key, hid it in her calculator cover, let you accuse me, and disappeared before the assembly. My voice stayed even. That is not complicated. It is documented. My mother's eyes lowered. Miles spoke then. I submitted the second statement. I turned toward him. He swallowed. All of it. The texts. The time she asked me to go upstairs. The part where I told her I was scared, and she said you would forgive me because I was your brother. Something moved through my chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe the recognition that a broken thing had at least stopped pretending it was whole. Good. I said. His face crumpled. Mara, I am sorry. I heard you. I know that does not fix it. It does not. He nodded hard. Like the words hurt, and he wanted them to. I will not ask you to forgive me. Do not ask anyone to admire you for that, I said. Just keep telling the truth without making yourself the victim of it. He wiped his eyes. My father looked like he wanted to interrupt, but my mother raised one hand. Not dramatically. Not enough for anyone outside the room to notice. Enough for him to stop. That was also new. Small changes were dangerous to trust, but useful to record. I took out my phone and opened the statement I had written before entering the library. I already sent mine to the board and the school paper. My father's face changed. You what? I read it aloud. I am grateful to the National Scholars Board for reviewing the evidence and preserving a clear record. I will sit for all future academic opportunities under independent procedures. I will not comment on family members involved in the ongoing investigation. 3 sentences, no softness, no rescue, no family-approved fog. My mother closed her notebook. It is clear. She said, my father looked at her as if she had spoken in another language. Maybe she had. The finalist interview happened 1 week later. It was held online with 2 board members and a professor from Hartwell University. The professor had silver hair, square glasses, and the kind of expression that made weak answers confess before they arrived. Miss Sterling, she said, your application essay discussed institutional trust, given recent events. Has your view changed? I thought about Lyndhurst's gold banners, my father's private calls, Tessa's tears, Miles's hands, the answer key folded inside a calculator cover. Yes, I said. I trust systems less when they depend on reputation, and more when they create records before anyone powerful becomes uncomfortable. The professor's pen moved. And what would you study if selected? Forensic accounting and compliance design. Dr. Rao, who sat in as an observer, lifted his eyes. I continued. People think corruption is dramatic. Usually it is paperwork that no one checks because the right person signed it. I want to build systems where honest people do not need a miracle to be believed. The room on the screen went quiet. The listening kind. When the interview ended, I closed my laptop and opened Case File 001. The folder had grown. Photos, logs, statements, board notices, my score report. I added the final page that afternoon. Outcome: candidate cleared, rank restored, false accusation disproven, primary offender removed, institution under audit, family pressure contained. Then I wrote one more line beneath it. Do not confuse being believed with being safe. Safety required structure. Structure required proof. Proof required the courage to preserve it before the room decided you were dramatic. That evening, a message arrived from Tessa. No greeting, no apology, just one sentence. I never meant for it to go this far. I stared at it for a long time. In my first life. Those words would have opened a wound and called itself tenderness. This time, I screenshot the message, saved it to the file, and deleted the thread from my phone. Intent did not resurrect the dead. It did not erase the warehouse smoke. It did not unplant the paper or unhide the key or unteach a room how quickly it had wanted me guilty. Consequences did not care how far she meant to go. They only cared where she went. 2 weeks later, the official National Scholars Finalist Board was installed in the Municipal Center lobby. No ceremony, no flowers, just a glass case with names printed in black on cream paper. I went alone. The lobby was nearly empty. A maintenance worker polished the floor near the elevators. Someone laughed in an office down the hall. Ordinary sounds. Ordinary light. I stood in front of the case and found my name in the first column. Tessa Sterling. There it was. Not whispered. Not defended. Not restored by family mercy. Printed. Public. Clean. My reflection hovered over the glass. Older than my face should have looked, and younger than the girl who had died in the fire. For the first time since waking with red ink on my palm, I let myself breathe without counting exits. I was reborn on exam day. They planted the answer key in my pocket. So I let the fake top student submit the real one, and when the assembly opened the evidence, my name stayed clean. Case file 001 was closed. But I kept the folder, because Rebirth had not made me lucky. It had made me ready, and in a world that loved beautiful lies. Readiness was the only mercy I trusted. Thank you for listening to Reborn with Proof. The next case begins before anyone believes the victim is in danger.